Alright guys, so I get a lot of people asking me about how to catch fish in the canal systems, what kind of water I should be looking for, where I should be flipping, what kind of bait to use, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Stay tuned, enjoy, and let's go whack 'em. So for starters, typically when you come up to a canal system, you want to look at the water clarity, make sure that you have the right bait on to match water clarity, or at least make it be able to pop and show a little bit of contrast, or maybe a little bit of a silhouette to be able to draw in those fish. The next thing is you want to see how quick the water is actually flowing in the system, and today we got a pretty good flow. You can tell by looking at all the leaves and all the shrubbery up top, it is really pushing. Another thing you can do is always just flip your bait in there and actually watch how quickly it's sliding across the base of the concrete. And then currently we are going to be throwing a little 5-inch stick bait by Fat Pack Baits, and this is called the Fat Bat all white little stick bait. Freaking awesome setup. You can never go wrong with the stick bait. It is definitely the go-to way to be able to catch any sort of bass in any sort of urban setting, whether you're fishing a canal for the first time ever or if you're fishing a pond for the first time ever. But typically what I like to do is I always like to look for any sort of weird termination points, any pipes that fish could be hanging out in. And there is currently a pipe right up here that a bass could be sitting right at the base. And the reason why they sit at the base of all those pipes is because a bunch of bait fish are pushing in and out of that pipe with all that current and water flow coming out of it. And the bass, they're not dumb creatures, they're very smart, they're very predatorial. So they're gonna come out and they're gonna sit right at the edge of it. And they're literally just gonna pick off any sort of bait fish, any sort of crustaceans that they see. So it's always worth taking a cast near any sort of transition point where you see a pipe or you see any sort of water flow. Sometimes you'll see a small spillway, sometimes you'll see a broken piece of concrete. Always take a look in those areas and you should be able to not only entice a fish but maybe hook up. Bridges are phenomenal because they create a lot of shade for the bass, and this time of year, because it's so hot out, the bass want as much shade as possible so that they can stay cool during the day. So what I personally like to do is I walk down the canal midday like this. I do honestly skip a lot of this area because the majority of the time there's not too many bass cruising up and down the middle sections of the canal. They're going to be hanging around any sort of structure like that staircase right there, like the broken concrete right up there. They're going to be hanging out anywhere where they can feel comfortable, also where they can ambush any sort of fish. The conditions aren't always going to be the same. There's going to be days where you really struggle, and then there's going to be days where it is just on fire and you can almost not stop catching fish. And obviously those days are phenomenal because you can throw just about anything you want in the water and they're going to hit it. But I'm kind of glad that we're not getting bit a lot right now, because I could show you guys more of the technical aspect of what you may have to do to get a fish to bite. There is a bunch of current right now, so I think I'm going to be switching up to a super light action Texas rig just so that we can fish the base of the concrete, because I think a lot of these bass are going to be hanging out in the overhang areas, finding any sort of shade and sitting right at the base of the concrete where the concrete meets the bottom of the canal. Switching things up here, we got a 3/16 tungsten weight with the 2.8-inch Beastie Bug Junior by Fat Pack Baits. This is green pumpkin, black flake. As natural as you can get, you cannot screw up with this color. Green pumpkin, black flake, pearl white. Maybe if you're going to switch anything up and, you know, have an interesting color, maybe an Alabama craw or an Okeechobee color. But other than that, all you really need is green pumpkin. One thing I do like about an ultra light Texas rig on the spinning setup is your line is completely direct. So even if you have a windy day like today, that line's gonna be super tight and you're gonna feel those knocks. I got a 10-pound soft steel braid with an 8-pound soft steel fluorocarbon leader, and I also got my Akuma Psycho Stick 7.2 medium light action rod. Phenomenal for super light Texas rig, Ned rig, drop shot, light paddle tails, crappie grubs, stuff like that. It's a phenomenal spinning rod because you can fish just about anything you want on it. It's got a super sensitive tip on it, enough backbone because you can tell that these canals are pretty steep, so enough of a backbone to where you can pull up a pretty good fish, not have any sort of issues with it. And to finish off the setup, I got my Akuma 2500 series Helios SX reel. This thing is made phenomenal. This reel is an absolute freaking workhorse. And my personal opinion about canal fishing is I think you really only need one rod that can pretty much do it all. so that you're not carrying around 2, 3, 4, 5 rods, constantly switching back and forth, because when you're canal fishing, you're going to be walking a lot. You don't just stay in one spot. That's not how you catch fish in the canal. You got to go and find the fish, because the fish could be stacked up in certain areas. You might catch like 10 fish right here off this one staircase, then nothing for a mile, and then you might catch another like 10 further up by some sort of spillway. It's just all based upon where the fish are sitting at that time. So my personal opinion is bring one rod that does everything, and you'll hook up with fish, and it's just freaking awesome. It's a fall right off that staircase. Feels like a pretty good one. Look at him dig. Look at him dig. I lost my train of thought. That's what fishing will do to you guys. Totally forgot what I was talking about. Man, he's almost finding like a tilapia, but it's not. It's just a chunky bass. See, just enough backbone to get this fish up and you catch beautiful bass like that in the canal systems, guys. This is why we go canal fishing, because you can catch beautiful bass on a little 2.8 inch beastie bug. Very simple fishing, and you'll feel that thump, because that's why you want braid. The braid is going to save your life, because you're going to feel those bites. Now you can see how steep that these canals are, so you want to be really careful and try to be as light as possible in getting those bass back in there. You don't want them to like smack their stomach and make it like a really loud smack. I just feel like, you know, post-spawn fish like that need to be taken care of. They already went through a brutal spawn, so they're a lot more vulnerable to catching diseases, getting sick, damaging up their body. So just be very careful with them, and just try to gently get them back in there as carefully as you possibly can. One thing I like to do is flip at transition points on concrete. You see that concrete on the left side that's a little bit whiter, that's like super pasty white. It's a lot more clunky and thick, and we have a fish just because we freaking flipped right on it. You can tell how, oh, he spit it. But the point is, you can see how this concrete is all the same all the way down the canal. You hit this kind of stuff, flip at it, because it's very granular, and the fish will hang on that, because it's some sort of structure to make them feel more safe. Dang it, that was a good one too. Little bit smaller than the last one. I was really thinking we were gonna get that guy in right there. All right, guys, so we're finding that these fish are kind of in between the broken concrete and also on the staircases. It's kind of hit and miss. We're getting bites here and there. That was a beautiful little bass that we just caught. We had a really nice one hooked up right after, and then we got bit immediately after that again. So in that little section, for some reason, those fish were consolidated in that area, and that's why walking down the canal is so key, because when you walk down the canal, you'll find little sections where you'll have opportunities to pick off 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10 fish within a matter of a couple minutes. So remember that walking is key. Always flip at any sort of broken concrete, any sort of staircases, any sort of transition points in the concrete. There's many things that you can look at and figure out to be able to catch fish in the canal systems, but those are just some of the few to keep an eye out for, so that you can actually go out, catch a couple bass, and have a good time. Let's keep fishing. Let's keep whacking them. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Stay tuned. Oh, that's a fish. There we are. So you gotta be accurate. You gotta be accurate with the cast. It's gotta be directly on. Oh my gosh, he just started. Post spawn, feisty largemouth. You gotta be accurate with those casts. That's one thing that I am noticing today that is different about other times. I mean, these fish are right up on the structure. They're not even like half an inch off or anything. Like, they're on the structure. Beautiful little bass right there. That's why it is so key on windy/breezy days to have braid, because even if you can't see your line the best, that braid is going to tell you if you got a bite or not, because you're going to feel that knock no matter what. That direct tension is just going to give you the sensation like, yes, that is a bite. You're going to know the difference between a rock, wood, any sort of weeds, grass, etc., and then fish. It's crazy. You can really see the current flowing over here. The closer we get up toward the road, it is pushing like crazy. There we are, right at the opening. Oh my god, oh my gosh, that was a big fish. Oh, you can see where all that current's circulating, which is why you want to flip there. Man, I just felt the tension, so I just lifted up. I should have just swung and set the hook hard. There we are. I felt the bite, but I want to make sure that he actually had it. I literally had that fish eat it, and he still didn't stay pinned. That is absolutely incredible. All right, guys, so the bite was actually really good today. I just suck at setting the hook. Ultimately, you know, we did pretty good on the 2.8-inch Beastie Bug Junior by Fat Pack Baits. I don't know why I wasn't able to get all these hook sets and get the dang fish up, but we got 2 fish. The point of today's video was to show you guys, you know, flip at staircases, flip at ladders, flip at any sort of broken concrete, flip at overhangs, look at the current, and that'll essentially tell you what you should be using that specific day. Look at the water clarity, that'll be letting you know about the color and what you should be using as well. I hope all that kind of information helped you guys out. Like I said, I use 10-pound braid to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader when it comes to my spinning. If I'm fishing the canal with a bait caster, typically 10 to 12 straight fluoro. That's all I use. Medium action when it comes to a bait caster typically does the job. It's light enough to where those little bass still pull, but heavy enough to where you can still get those bigger bass up. When it comes to the spinning, I like to use a medium light. You just feel the bites better, and it's more fun. It's more of a fight. But yeah, it's got enough backbone to be able to pull those fish up as well. So hope you guys enjoyed it. A little bit lackluster. Really wish I got those fish up, because I got bit by 8 fish in 45 minutes. That's pretty freaking good fishing if you ask me. But we just unfortunately couldn't get them up. Not a big deal. It wasn't the point of today's video. Hopefully you guys learned something. If so, please make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and make sure to subscribe. We'll see you guys next time on Southwoods Fishing.